It's Tuesday, May 2nd, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we talk about Carcassonne. Oh, let's do this. Like, I know I say like and, a lot, but I'm going to make a conscious effort to not, say
Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, totally. I don't think I'm going to be able to stop saying totally, though. We're just going to work on and for now. Totally comes later.
Yeah, well, the basic trick to not saying words like or
is to think about what the fuck you're saying?
Either that or to pause on other words in such a way that you aren't using words like or
Yeah, but I don't like doing that so much either. I'd much rather think about what I'm going to say and then say it with really good words, like I'm doing right now. Even though I used one in that sentence, but it was an appropriate and not a delaying .
Yeah, I don't know if you saying the words really good words as opposed to proper or good diction was very good.
Shut up, you.
Yeah. I guess I'm so used to doing this sort of thing in front of people that I'm really used to not saying the word because it got beaten out of me a long time ago.
I don't know when I started saying the word I used to not say and then I listened to myself record it and I go, wow, I'm saying
You say more than you say
Yeah, well, I think I only seem to say that when I'm trying to explain something to someone, and I want to make sure that they understand everything I say. So I'm like, it's like, confirm that you have taken in the information which I have conveyed upon you.
Humans don't need to act as much as you want us to. You'll say, every single sentence.
What can I say? I'm TCP/IP. I should be UDP.
Yes, you should.
I'm going to downgrade some.
Of course, often you are UDP because you'll go, and then you'll just keep talking. You don't wait for the axe. You don't need the axe.
Yeah, but even then, it's UDP with some sort of, backup acknowledgments in the software that just don't care.
Nah, a lot of times
I gotta go to pure UDP where I just dump packets on you and I don't care.
You do that often. How many times am I sitting here doing post-production with my headphones on and my back to you, and then I take the headphones off and you're in the middle of a sentence and you've been talking to me for a while.
That's fine. Who knows, though? During that talking, which you didn't hear, I might have been using the words and
You probably were.
Probably. But not for long. I will stop saying them as much.
So anyway, we've got some news bits. Even though today wasn't the best news day, you might be able to tell that we were kind of digging.
Yeah, digging on dig, totally. I said totally.
Good game.
There is absolutely no news today. It was so lame. Nothing exciting happened. I mean,
there was a lot of
speculation.
speculation.
So lame that people are still talking about the Wii. That's how lame the news is.
There was a lot of speculation for E3, but that's all speculation, and E3's real soon. There's no reason to talk about it yet.
So that's the problem with E3 is they're like, okay, we're going to collect all the giant video game news and plop it into one event every year. So before this event happens, there isn't any video game news whatsoever. Everyone is holding on to it, and all they're doing is giving you a preview of the news that you might see next week or a week after or whatever.
Whee!
I mean, what if you watched the CBS or ABC Evening News on your television, if you watch television, and they didn't give you the news about what happened today? They're like, these are the things that might happen tomorrow. The war in Iraq might end. Someone might get impeached. There might be a murder. There might be a fire. There might be a car crash. It's
Airbus
completely...
an Airbus A320 might disappear off the coast of...
But that did happen.
Yeah, it did.
But seriously.
So what news did you dig up?
So, do you remember I said so. Do you remember the DARPA Grand Challenge?
I do indeed, but our listeners might not. Though we have some listeners who are really into robotics, so I'm sure they know all about it.
Right, so the DARPA Grand Challenge, basically DARPA put up a challenge saying if you can get a vehicle without any person in the vehicle or any person controlling the vehicle, so the vehicle is autonomous, to drive across this stretch of desert all on its own, you win a prize. And a bunch of people entered, and no one did it. Everyone failed miserably.
Which was kind of expected. It's not the easiest task.
No, it's not. So they tried again, and they succeeded. The Volkswagen Touareg was the most successful. It made it all the way across this desert and whatever. Now they're saying, all right, you guys like going across the desert, huh? We're going across the city, bitches. That's right.
Uh-huh.
So soon, people are going to be making autonomous vehicles that can navigate an urban environment with traffic and the whole shtick.
I would just make one that killed everyone in my path, thus making an easy exit.
That's what I didn't understand. Why did they use a Volkswagen Touareg? I would have used like a tank. Or, I said,
I know.
a tank. What's better than a tank? A hovercraft.
Tanks need a lot of fuel. They're also not that
right.
fast.
You're right.
Though modern battle tanks can go 60, 70 miles an hour, if not more.
Dude, if I'd get one of those 6-wheeled ATV things. That would make it.
Maybe. So you need a human to drive that.
No, you can get that to be autonomous.
Yeah, let's see you do it.
All right.
All right, you're on. I'll bet you $1 million you never make a 6-wheeled ATV autonomous in the rest of your life.
Well, they got that Mars rover thing.
I said you.
Give me some money and I could do it.
No, you didn't say you needed money.
If you enter the DARPA Grand Challenge, they have like these tests, right? And there are 2 different ways to actually get money from them to enter the challenge if you can't afford to do it yourself. Like if you're at college and you show them you have the muster, they give you a pot like $100,000 to enter to use to do your stuff.
Yeah, I have this feeling that if we had ever gotten that much money to make a robot, we would have spent it on various things, and then on the day of the competition, we would have brought in a small remote-controlled car that would have made it about 5 feet.
Make it at the hobby house?
Yeah, with the last $5.
Our little remote-control car might actually make it. The problem is there's a time limit and a distance. And so the average...
And, it has to be autonomous.
Yeah. Well, we can make an autonomous one, but...
That's the hard part. It's not hard to make a vehicle that'll travel that far. It's hard to make a vehicle that can travel that far without intelligence.
We just hide the remote control so they don't know.
Ah. Or get a really, really small dude.
Ooh, clown car. It's a good one. All right, so yeah. There's going to be an urban DARPA challenge, and my prediction is that in the first go, most of all the cars are going to mess up. And in the second go, which they'll no doubt have...
I'm really curious how they're going to handle
awesome.
the whole traffic situation or people in the city, because urban environments are highly variable.
Yeah.
And you have to worry about hurting people.
I don't know. That's the one question I have is, are they going to have a simulated city or are they going to use a real city?
Or maybe they'll use a real city but cordon off some streets and have people and vehicles who are paid and trained to be in the area. I don't know.
No, I don't want to live in that city on that day. Big traffic.
We'll have to watch and find out.
We sure will.
Maybe some of those people in our forums will know more about it.
Yep. I'm sure it'll be quite awesome, especially since this will advance X-Driver technology.
That show was so stupid.
It was pretty stupid, but...
All right. So there's been a lot of talk for a while now about all the record labels being pissed off at Apple for the fact that all the songs on iTunes cost 99 cents. And they've been saying over and over again, if you don't let us have variable pricing, we're going to leave, and then iTunes will fail, and Apple will fall apart, and everything will be over. And Apple was mostly ignoring them, but there was a lot of buzz that, what if the record labels pull out? And today, or yesterday, it was decided 100%, all the record labels signed on with iTunes yet again, and they accepted and kept the 99 cents per song price.
Yeah, but the thing is, 99 cents is still too much.
Yeah, I'd pay 99 cents for a movie.
If they brought down to, say, $1 an album, $2.50 an album, I'd be all right if it was something I couldn't get elsewhere.
The way most music goes these days, $1 an album is the same as $1 a song, because you only wanted one song anyway.
It's true, but often what I found is, back in the day, when I would buy albums because there really wasn't MP3s yet.
Yeah, I have about 4 CDs I've purchased in my life.
It's think about this. You go to the store and you buy Queen's A Night at the Opera because you want to listen to Bohemian Rhapsody, right? But that's not the best song on there. There's 5 or 6 other awesome songs on there.
Yeah, because Queen was the exception. They had talent.
Well, no, because if you don't have talent, you're not going to have the one good song.
I submit to you all the one-hit wonders.
The one-hit wonders?
Remember Fastball?
No.
They got popular right about when MP3s were getting popular.
You see, because the thing is, other stupid people like one-hit wonders. The one hits where the band doesn't actually have talent, I don't like those songs. See, I've never liked any of them.
To me, their song, I don't even remember what it was called, but it was good. I really liked the song, and I thought, ooh, they're a good band. that's a really cool song. I wonder what else they can do. And everything else they did was crap.
No. See, for me, it's the songs that aren't hits that are but they're really good that are on those albums. Those are the songs I like the most. You know, the song that gets onto the single isn't always the best one, at least from my perspective. Most of my favorite songs are ones that were not hits.
I'm talking about music in general. Because
in general.
No, in general, most albums have one good song, if that. Or at least one song that's popular that they use to trick people into buying the rest of the album.
To stupid people with bad taste in music, the music that I like, there are often multiple good songs per album.
Ah, the music snob.
I'm not a music snob. I like a shit ton of music.
Yeah, but all the music you don't like, only stupid people like.
Yeah. Anything that I don't like, only stupid people like. That's the law of the universe.
But anyway, this iTunes news just shows that despite all of their bluffing and posturing, the labels really realize that they need Apple and iTunes or they're done. They can't ignore the internet. And they kept saying, oh, we'll just drop off of iTunes, but none of them did.
Engadget podcast I was listening to today pointed out something really interesting that I hadn't thought of before. Is that they were talking about how the electronics companies and all the gadget makers really don't care about DRM or anything. They want that stuff to go away. They don't like broadcast flags and shit.
Well, yeah, because it makes them have to do more stuff that they don't need to do.
It basically just fucks them. And how the government is making laws to favor this one industry of content creators and owners and hurt this other industry of, technology creators and owners. But the thing is, the technology industry is a hajillion times bigger than the entertainment industry.
So why don't they just hire more lobbyists than the former industry and make it go away?
Because they're not good at hiring lobbyists, because they're not used to doing that. The content industry's been at it since the last century. It's like they don't have that skill. I might be a level 20th wizard, but you say, oh, you're so powerful and bigger than that 10th level fighter. Why don't you go beat up that other guy? Well, because I'm a wizard. I can't beat up anyone. That's what it is.
Well, unless you start at a distance. I mean, if you're far enough apart, there's no way the fighter could even reach you.
I mean, yeah, but you're telling me to beat him up specifically with hitting. It's not the perfect analogy, all right? Leave me alone.
It's a bad analogy.
Shut up.
Lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt. It's the end of the fighter.
They could lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt. And that's why Apple, a technology company, was able to muscle over all those stupid content companies.
Yeah, even though gladly Apple didn't really have to say much. They just said, basically, fuck you. And the label said,
God damn it.
Yeah, thanks.
I mean, the content companies are really good at muscling over the government, you see. But they can't muscle over other companies. So if they try to deal with Apple, Apple's like, yeah, and they moon them. They're big-ass butts.
That another analogy?
No. Apple literally moons them. This dude and his two friends had a intro to 3D animation class. Now, they've never animated anything in 3D before, and, they didn't have so many mad skills or anything. So they made this video for their project. Of course, they procrastinated to the last minute, so the physics are kind of bleh.
Actually, it's funny. When Scott showed it to me, the first thing I said was, wow, gravity just is wrong in this video. And Scott said, they already said their physics are bad. Let them go.
Yeah, this is intro to 3D animation. This is the kids' first time ever making a 3D animation.
Yeah, so cut them slack on the barrels falling really weirdly.
Yeah, but do give them mad props for their creativity. What they've done is create a 3D Rube Goldberg machine. So they didn't actually make the Rube Goldberg machine. They made a theoretical Rube Goldberg machine. But it has a Nintendo theme.
Quite good one.
Yeah, the duck hunt is definitely the best part. It's so creative the way they had it set up. And then it's like things have a Nintendo theme on them, but nothing happens, things happen physically. You'll get it when you watch it.
Yeah, I mean, even the Tetris one works.
Yep. Yeah.
It's cool.
If you are a fan of things Nintendo, you will be humored by this video. I have a better thing of the day for tomorrow, though, so just sit tight.
Yeah. Well, since we try to generally theme the things of the day somewhat to the topic at hand, and today is gaming day,
Yep.
mine is completely unrelated. No, because Best Buy sells games.
Ooh, it's a Best Buy related thing of the day.
Yeah,
Is this one of those stories about a guy goes in there and gets a scam on the freaking, $500 power cables and shit?
Nah, nothing like that.
All right.
Though I think everyone out there knows my feelings toward Best Buy. I generally loathe the company and everything about it.
Yeah, you give them money occasionally.
Yeah, because they still have decent products at a low price.
And there really isn't anywhere else to go besides Circuit City, which isn't any better or worse.
Yeah, but I'm a big fan of people who freak squares, and I'm a big fan of flash mobs.
Yeah, freaking some squares. All right.
So Improv Anywhere, Improv Everywhere, they're this group, and I've seen stuff they've done before. They've done some really cool flash mob type things. And they did one recently that I thought was hilarious. They got a whole bunch of people, told them to wear khakis, blue polo shirts, belts, and black shoes. Basically the Best Buy guy employee uniform.
Without the yellow tag.
Yeah, without the yellow tag and without the Best Buy guy attitude.
Mm-hmm.
They then, one by one, over the course of several, at least an hour or so, all infiltrated the same Best Buy and just kind of milled around.
How many people were like, excuse me?
Oh, you have to read the site because How
do they keep from all laughing hysterically at each other?
These people are good at what they do. Now, I could go on for a whole episode about the hijinks that ensued, but I would like to say that the manager of the Best Buy probably overreacted in the most amazing... She called 911. She called 911. The police came. The police were actually really kind of abusive and threatening, but luckily these flash mob people really knew what they were doing and basically pulled the whole, I know my rights, you can't do crap to me. It's not trespassing unless you ask me to leave. Are you asking me to leave? And the cops were like, rumble, grumble, grumble, rabble, rabble. And he said, are you asking me to leave? I'll leave.
We should do an episode about how to deal with the cops.
I was about to say.
Because people don't know their rights when it comes to cops. They just bend over backwards. Oh my God, there's a cop. I better do everything he says. Well, that's not true.
Yep, because I have been approached by police many times in my day for various civil infractions, and I've never once been arrested or even ticketed.
Here's one easy rule, so to avoid doing a whole episode right now. If a cop comes up to you, just question everything he tells you to do, and make sure that, you question everything, because he can't lie to you by law.
Well, actually, one step further. If you don't want to talk to a police officer, they cannot talk to you if you ask them not to, unless they are arresting you or detaining you. So if a police officer is ever bothering you, and you don't want to be bothered, just ask them straight up, are you arresting me or detaining me in any way? If they say yes, you've got a wrongful arrest suit on your hands.
Unless you did something bad, dumbass.
Yeah, we're talking about if you're minding your own business or if you did something that, while technically is illegal, isn't really that bad, like trespassing into an abandoned factory, maybe certain kinds of murder, I don't know.
Standing in the Best Buy dressed as a Best Buy employee.
Yeah, freaking squares.
If the cop says, no, I'm not arresting you or detaining you, then you just walk away and he can't talk to you anymore.
Yep, and if he tries to stop you, ask him again, are you arresting me or detaining me?
Mm-hmm.
That's worked up several times. Of course, don't carry crowbars around, even if you are breaking into abandoned factories, because that'll really make him suspicious.
Yeah. Pretty much almost anything in the world can be considered a burglar's tool, which can almost get probable cause. So if a cop, if you're around somewhere and you have like a screwdriver or something or a flashlight is a burglar's tool, so don't let the cop see.
All right, one last piece of advice. If you happen to be trespassing somewhere and you get caught and you don't want to get caught and go to jail or anything,
run the fuck away.
No, don't run from the police unless you're sure you can get away.
Well, no, run if they've seen you, then you're pretty much done, but if they're real far away.
Well, bear in mind that once you run from the police, they now have probable cause and your ass is done.
Yeah, if they see you run.
Yeah. But the common answer, if you're this is usually for urban exploration type things, because I really like to do this sort of thing. If you're in an abandoned factory and a cop finds you, the answer to any question is, I heard a scream, I went to investigate. But anyway, this Best Buy thing is hilarious. The management of the store really didn't know what to do. I think the best part is when apparently this sort of thing happens as part of a scam because they have a code thing in place to deal with it.
Really?
The employees were running around, and one of them was yelling into their walkie-talkie at one point, Thomas Crown Affair, Thomas Crown Affair, all employees to the floor. Yeah.
Wasn't that a movie that I didn't see?
Yes, it was a movie you didn't see that is entirely relevant to what happened.
Awesome.
It's actually, I'll put it in the queue.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is hilarious. Check it out.
That's one thing that I don't get. If you work at a Best Buy and they have all these codes for things and then you know all the codes, it's like, how often does that happen at a Best Buy that they know the code?
Hey, when I did construction way, way back in that Kmart, I saw some of the sheets they had laying out of all the different codes. They have a code for everything. They have a code for like a tornado's coming and what you do, or a kid is missing, or there's someone with a gun in the store, or someone's robbing someone.
We should totally make a website with all the codes and how to set them off in all the different stores.
All you have to do to set them off is announce them over the PA. The only reason they have the codes is so that they don't panic anyone who doesn't know what's going on, but yet they can, with very low technology, tell all the employees something.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. So if you know the codes, you can just walk up to one of those phones at like a Target or a Walmart, just pick it up and say, yeah, we got a code Veronica Blue 69er, and hang it up and walk away.
6'9".
I wasn't actually thinking 6'9" when I said that.
All right.
Was
Giggity.
that a Tommy boy? Was that a niner I heard in there?
Giggity. Okay.
All right, so today we are going to be talking about a very fun German game called Carcassonne.
Well, isn't it French? At least the name is French. Carcassonne.
Well, it's a German-style game. It has a French theme.
Yep.
Now, the game, I want to preface this right now by saying that Scott and I have various skills in certain things. I mean, Scott is pretty much the god of Tetris right now among our group of friends and all that. Carcassonne, no one can fucking beat me. I've won like the last 15 or 20 times we've played. Like, I can't lose, no matter what.
We'll beat you.
It's gotten
you
to the
wait.
point. It's gotten to the point where we'll play, and I'll take my turn. I'll say exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Then, on everyone else's turn, I'll tell them exactly what I would do if I was them to win. And they usually don't listen to me, and they lose, because I'm really not lying. I tell them exactly what I'd do.
You're cheating.
And we've played so many times, it can't be luck. And once we describe how the game works, you realize that it can't be cheating, because you really can't cheat at this game.
No, you can't. So, the basic idea behind Carcassonne is a tile-laying game. On your turn, you pick up a tile, and you put it somewhere on the board where it fits. Now, there is no board. There's just other tiles.
Yep.
So you just kind of attach it to the existing tiles so that it fits in.
And by fitting in, they all have little roads and towns and
They have
rivers.
roads, grass, castles, occasionally water, but not really.
Yeah, and a bunch of other special things
Yep.
that we'll talk about.
So, you have to put it somewhere where the roads match. You can't have roads running into grass or roads running into the side of a castle or
Yep.
anything like that.
And then the only decision you make after putting the tile down is whether or not you want to place one of your little dudes on it, and if so, where on the tile
Little
do you want to place
dudes,
it?
aren't they technically workers, farmers, peasants?
Board Game Geek calls them meeples.
Meeples.
I'm not
I
sure
think
why.
that's the generic name for wooden pieces of that shape.
Yeah.
But that's not their thematic meaning in the
I've
game
noticed
of
that
Carcassonne.
we almost never talk about the theme of a game, so it really doesn't matter. The theme of the game is you're building little towns in the countryside of France.
Hooray!
That's it.
France.
But that's it. The game is so simple. You draw a tile, you look at it. You show it to everyone around the table, because the rules even say specifically you must show the tile to everyone. So
then
they
everyone can suggest where to put it.
Yes, I believe the exact words are so that they can advise.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the advice is, hey, put it on my city. No, put it on my city.
Put it somewhere that helps me and screws you over.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But that's it. You draw a tile, you place the tile, you put a dude on it, or not put a dude on it. That's it. And you go around until all the tiles have been placed, and then you do the final scoring.
Now, the way to score big points is when you put a dude on the board, there are 4 places you can put him. You can put him, well, in the basic game, you can put him on a road. If you put him on a road, you want that road to be really long, because then you get a lot of points.
Yep. Basically, you put guys on the board, and with one exception, whenever the thing they're on finishes and scores, you get the dude back, because you have a limited number of dudes.
So let's say a road is 10 tiles long, and I have a guy on that road. I get 10 points. Let's say the road is 10 tiles long, and Rim has a guy on the road. He gets 10 points. You can also put guys in castles. And the castles, when the castle is sealed up and the castle can't possibly expand anymore, you see how many tiles the castle is. So if I make a 5-tile castle, I would get 10 points. If there were little shields in the castle, I would get more points than that. That's how it is. Putting guys in the grass is weird. Putting guys in the little churches, the cloisters, is also a little weird. But a cloister can get you anywhere from 1 to 9 points if you put a guy in it.
Yeah, basically it's just a game of placing your guys in an optimal way so as to get victory points from buildings and roads and such that finish. And you get some consolation points at the end of the game for things that didn't finish, but you're mostly screwed at that point because you had a guy who was on the board instead of being useful doing nothing.
Yeah, you have a limited number of little guys. I think like 9 or not so many.
Not even, like 7.
It's not a lot of guys, especially if you don't have any expansions. You're screwed. So you have to really, be really discerning about where you put your guys on the board. If you put them out just on every single tile you put down, you're going to run out of guys and miss scoring opportunities. And if you don't put out enough, well, you're not going to score any points. So you have to really put them in the most optimal places you possibly can.
Yep. And, I mean, there are all the places you can put guys that are normal, and then whenever whatever it is finishes, you get the points back. But then you can put them on the grass, which is a farmer. And to put it really simply, any cities that are completed at the end of the game are scored based on who has the most farmers touching them.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a bunch of points, I think 4 for each one.
Yeah, so one giant field of grass that all connects and isn't blocked off by roads or castles is a field of grass. And you look in that field of grass and you say, how many completed castles, separate castles, are touching this field of grass? Let's say there's 3 completed castles touching the field of grass. Oh, well, I have a farmer in that field of grass. So I get 4 points for 3 castles, 12 points at the end of the game.
Of course, the trade-off is you put guys in the farm where you now don't get them back and they sit there doing nothing for the entire game until the very, very end.
Yeah, putting guys in the farm is kind of troublesome too because other people will throw guys in other farms or the same farm, or they'll sneak other farmers into your farm and beat you out, making your farmer useless, which means now you have guys on the board that aren't doing anything and you can't get them back.
Now, the only other mechanics to the game are that there are cases of ties, and basically if there's a tie, everyone wins. So, and the other rule is that you cannot put a guy on a thing that already has a guy in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might wonder, all right, then how could I ever tie someone? If I have a guy on a road, there's no way you could ever put your guy on the road.
Well, I just put my guy on a different road, and I connect the 2 roads.
Yep, so say I got a long road, and then it turns to the right, and then there's a space, and then someone else puts a straight road tile down and puts their guy on it. And then the next round he puts another straight tile to the left of that one, and now the 2 roads are connected. Now we're sharing the points.
Mm-hmm.
If he somehow got 2 guys on that road, he gets all the points, and I get dick.
That's how the farmers work also. You have some grass and some other grass. A guy puts a farmer in the second grass, connects the 2 grasses to make 1 grass, and whoa! Castles the same way, too. 2 castles, a guy in each, castles connect, now it's 1 castle, the end.
Now, that sounds very simple. And it's true. The game is incredibly simple.
I mean, they sell this game in Toys R Us. That's why it's so simple.
I mean, it's very easy to learn, but don't underestimate this game. It is not a light or easy game. It is not a limited game. There are many possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of tactics versus strategy, I'd say it's pretty much 100% tactics.
Yeah, you really can't go into the game thinking, I'm going to build a big castle, or I'm going to try to get a whole bunch of long roads. That doesn't work. It's a lot of randomness in what tiles you draw.
Yes,
you pretty much have to draw tiles, and at the moment you draw the tile, put it in the optimum position to either get the most points for you or take the most points away from other people if you can't get points for you with the tile, and then optimally put your guys out on the tiles you draw to get the most points for you.
Now, you also might think, hey, if all you ever get to do is draw a random tile and put it down, you can only put your guys on those random tiles, couldn't you get dicked by the tiles, and wouldn't the tile drawing really affect the game?
It kind of does, a little bit.
The answer is really no.
Yeah.
Because I always win. And I win every time we play, and I've played a lot of games of this. And the fact that one person can consistently do very well despite the randomness of the tiles means that the tactics mean a lot more than what you draw.
Yeah, what you draw can mean something if you play in a certain way. Like, if you play to build a giant castle, then the game might come down to whether you draw a certain tile that can finish the castle or not. However, that's only in like a one game basis. Overall, from game to game, playing with a better strategy, usually a strategy that doesn't depend on getting specific tiles,
Yes.
will win you the game more often. So while someone might play in a certain way and then win or lose based on the draw of the tiles, overall, the way to win the most games over the course of your life is to play better than that and not depend on the tiles you draw.
Very enlightening, but how come you can never win since you seem to understand that so well?
Because that's the only part of it I understand. It's not enough.
I mean, the neat thing is that the game's very simple, but there are a lot of things you can do. Like, you can't really screw someone other than maybe taking points away from them. But because the nature of the tiles and the fact that you have to place tiles in a legal manner, roads touch roads, grass touches grass, if the other person, or say you're playing with a bunch of people and one person is building this massive city, and it's huge, it's going to score him a ton of points and probably win him the game, you can just put roads and other cities around it in such a way that they'll need a really, really rare or possibly non-existent piece to finish their city. Now it's guaranteed the city won't finish. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, in the regular old game of Carcassonne with no expansion packs, there are a lot of ways that you can make it so a city can't be finished or a road can't be finished because there is no such piece that fits in that spot.
So a normal Carcassonne, unless a bunch of players team up to all of them finish a city together to basically push everyone else out of the game, anyone who tries to build a city that's more than a couple of tiles is going to get dicked by everyone else just sticking roads in the way.
Yeah, a 4 or 5 city is like the biggest one you can expect to build by yourself in the long run. And even then, you're probably better off building 3 or 4s.
Yeah, in original Carcassonne.
Yeah, Carcassonne.
Now, that's it, and I love the game, but we're going to go over all the expansions because...
Well, not all the expansions.
All the expansions that we have and or care about.
Right, now, here's the thing. People talk a lot about Carcassonneization. Basically, what they've done, the company that publishes Carcassonne, I don't know who it is, I forget, I think it's Rio Grande, don't quote me on that.
Incorporated.
Yeah. What they've done is they've taken a whole lot of other German games or European board games, and they've put the Carcassonne label on them. Because Carcassonne was so successful and popular that it sold in Toys R Us even, they figure that they can take other similar tile-laying, guy-placing games, slap a Carcassonne label on them, changing the original name of the game, and get a bunch of sales because there's Carcassonne on it.
And a lot of the games are good, but they're not really what we're talking about. These are expansions that basically make it a different game.
Yeah, they also, what they've done is make a bunch of expansion packs, which include tiles and extra wooden pieces that you can add to the game of Carcassonne to put new rules and situations into it. And those are the expansion packs we're going to talk about, at least some of the ones we played.
Yes. Now, 2 of the 3 are very good, and I highly recommend them. But the first one we're going to talk about sucks.
Yeah.
Now, the only other thing I'll say is that when it comes to the expansions, if you buy Carcassonne, I'd highly recommend you play it a whole bunch of times without the expansions before you add them in.
Yeah, the expansions aren't to make the game playable. The game is great and playable all on its own. The reason to get the expansion is because you've played the original game so much that you need to add some flavor. And then when you played the game out with that expansion, get another expansion, and so on. Some of the expansions, though, are not so good, I've heard, but I've only going to talk about the ones I've played. So.
Yep, and the ones we've played are all fantastic, except for
the river.
Now, most Carcassonne boxes now come with the river in the box already.
Well, the river was the very first expansion, I think, and I think there's a River 2. I'm not sure if they come with the River 2 now, or I don't know, but I don't think the River 2 can be that much better than the River 1.
Yeah, the river's kind of crap. All it does is... for the first bit of the game, because normally one tile starts out on the table, and it's always the same tile, and then you take turns drawing and randomly in placing. In the river, before you draw the random tiles, first, every round, people draw a random tile from the river stack. So the game starts with this long river, and then people build off the sides of it.
Yep. So game usually starts with one tile, now starts with a big long river.
Now, it was cool maybe once or twice, but it really... just makes the game more limited and takes away some of the tactical decisions.
Yeah, when the whole board is constructed by people, very constructed by people in a mostly random fashion, you really get all sorts of interesting things built. When you always start the game with the river, every game with the river starts to look just like the last game with the river.
I mean, the only real use I can see for the river is to break yourselves out of a rut. if you've been playing the same game of Carcassonne over and over again because of the way people play, the river will break you up because you can't do what you expect.
Of course, there are some strategies at the river that make the game really poor.
Oh, yeah, like when I played the river the first time, I just farmed my ass off and won the game by a bajillion.
Yep, because see, what happens at the river is adjacent to the water is a whole bunch of grass. So you just put farmers in that grass, and now you've got this big U-shaped piece of grass that's going to have a shit ton of cities adjacent to it when you build the game, and a whole bunch of points. So pretty much whoever farms the river the best is probably going to win.
Yeah, so I would really not worry about the river.
Play with the river once or twice once you learn how to play Carcassonne. See how it goes. You know, if people are dumb and they don't realize that you farm the river to win, then I guess it can make an interesting game because no one will just win right away with it.
Well, then you'll win right away because you listen to Geeknights and you know. All right. Now, the first real expansion we bought that, in my opinion, makes the game awesome. Like, it took an awesome game and made it more awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Inns and Cathedrals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one thing it adds, in addition to, it adds some special rules, is it adds an extra player. You can now play with one more person.
Carcassonne, I think, is only a maximum of 6 players, 2 to 6?
It's 5 players.
2 to 5?
And
the Inns and Cathedrals allows you to play 2 to 6.
Yep. Now, it also adds a big dude. So you got all your little dudes. Now you have a big dude. He counts as 2 dudes when it comes to breaking ties. But other than that, he's just a normal dude.
Yeah, so when you're going to invade someone else's farm for like a jillion points, throw your big dude down there. Oh, now you're going to get that farm right out of him.
Yep, of course, if you put him in a crappy farm, now your big dude's out of the game and you're just kind of dicked.
Yep. Well, it adds an element of strategy, just like Tikal has the big dude.
Now, it also adds a whole bunch of tiles that are shaped weirdly and weren't in the first Carcassonne. So now you won't have those cities that never finish because there's a weird piece that is like 2 cities, then a road and a plane on them.
But what inevitably happens is those weird tiles come out at the beginning of the game, and then you never draw them when you need them to finish the crazy city.
Yeah, but even so, just having those tiles there makes a lot more things finish, and you can't expect to dick someone by sticking a road in their way because they'll find the piece they need.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're really necessary in a 7-player game because... Or a 6-player game. Because with 6 players, if you don't have tiles like that, no one's going to be able to finish anything because you get 1/6 of the tiles that are out there to place, and it's really not enough to actually score a significant number of points.
Now, I note that most of what Inns and Cathedrals adds to Carcassonne has nothing to do with either inns or cathedrals.
Mm-hmm.
The inns and cathedrals themselves are kind of lame, and they're just kind of tacked on.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the cathedrals, because they're like the obvious.
Yes.
I think there's 3 of them.
Only 2.
2? I thought there were 3.
There's only 2.
Okay.
They're a big city piece, meaning it's city on all sides, just a big city.
Yep, there was never a tile like that in the original Carcassonne. So this tile is just all city. The only place you can put it is in the middle of a city. That means if you put this in a city, it becomes incredibly difficult to finish that city.
It makes every tile in the city worth an extra point, which is huge.
Yeah, if you finish a city that has a cathedral in it, you're going to get a shit ton of points.
Now, the drawback of the cathedral is that normally, if the game ends and you have a big city that didn't finish, you get half the number of points you would have gotten if it had finished, kind of a consolation prize. If there's a cathedral in there, you don't get anything. It's all or nothing.
It's like a big gamble. If you put a cathedral in your own city, then you basically spend the rest of the game trying to finish it to get a shit ton of points and win. The more common strategy is to throw the cathedral in someone else's city, because then they have this guy stuck in the city, and he's never going to finish the city because it's impossible.
And if he gets close, everyone will just keep trying to dick him.
Yeah, if he gets close to finishing the city, then other people will either jump into the city to get a share of the points, or they'll put roads and stuff in the way to prevent the city from ever finishing, and now he spent all his tiles making one big city instead of making another city somewhere else that actually could have finished.
Now, the inns do the exact same thing the cathedral does, only to a road, and there are a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of inns. So if you put an inn is just a little symbol next to a road. So let's say I'm making a road, and then I add another road to it that has an inn on it. The inn makes the whole road double in points, but if the road doesn't ever finish, I get 0 points. Usually if a road doesn't finish, you still get a bunch of points for it. So no one ever puts an inn on someone else's road. Everyone puts an inn on their own road, and then they try to finish it. And other people try to prevent that road from finishing if it's too long.
And that's it.
That's all Inns and Cathedrals does. It improves the game a great deal, but make sure you're the master of regular Carcassonne before you use it, because you'll ruin a whole bunch of normal Carcassonne games if you start playing with Inns and Cathedrals right away.
Yeah. Now, last and not least, and newest, is the tower.
The first thing you got to know about the tower is it comes with this tower.
You can put all the tiles in it stacked up real nice. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, if you don't have this tower, then you play Carcassonne usually with all the tiles in a big pile or just stacks on the table all around. And it's not really clean or good looking. It's like you make a big mess and then you build the game right off the table and all kinds of weird stuff happens. So this tower really makes things handy.
Yeah, I basically bought the expansion only because it has this tower in it. I didn't really care what the tower expansion itself did.
Mm-hmm.
And it changes the game in fundamental ways, but I think it's still a good game. I still win.
It's a good game, but it's Inns and Cathedrals is still the same game with just a little extra stuff. With the tower, it's a different game, I think.
Very simply, the tower adds the ability to directly affect other players in a negative way.
Mm-hmm. You basically build these little towers instead of putting guys out if you want to.
It gives you an extra option. Instead of just place a tile and then either put a dude on it or not put a dude on it, you now have the option to, instead of putting a dude out, take a tower piece and put it on any tower-ready tile on the board. Not just the one you just played, but any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put that tower down, anyone within X spaces of that tower, you can take their dude off and keep him hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they take one of your dudes off, there's a prisoner swap and you both get your dudes back.
So what this game does is it allows you to remove someone else's guy from the board. So if someone puts a guy in a castle and is going to score a hajillion points, you just put a little tower down and you take his guy right off the board. Of course, they can't put the tower just anywhere. They can only put it on the special tower tiles that come with the expansion, but there are a lot of them, and it's really hard to position things where they cannot possibly be towered or not easily be towered.
Yep, thus you either have to finish things quickly, go in with other people, or try various strategies to keep people from screwing with your guys. It basically destroys the farming market. Because farmers now are really, really vulnerable.
And they're really hard to put out. Like, you can try to keep putting farmers out there, but someone will just tower them away. You have to really be clever to get the farmers into a good position.
Of course, it's very balanced, because anytime you put a tower out, you had to not put a dude out.
Mm-hmm.
And putting a dude out is key.
Of course, the thing is, in normal Carcassonne, you don't put a dude out. You put a dude out less than half the time you put a tile out. Because every turn you put a tile, but less than half the time you put a dude.
See, that's your problem with Carcassonne. I almost always put a dude out, even if it's something crap. I've almost all my dudes out at all times, and I just cap off whatever they're on, even if they're little, and take the points, and then I put the dude back out.
See, I don't do that. Maybe I'll try next time.
That's how I win.
Watch, I'll get punned next time when I try to do that. But yeah, whenever you would normally place a tile, but you wouldn't put a dude anyway, put a tower. Of course, you only have a limited number of towers, and the more players, the less towers you have. And
every time you tower someone, you've got one of their guys hostage. So now you're a target for them because they want their dude back.
Yeah, it's kind of a great equalizer. If I keep screwing Rim has a big incentive to screw me instead of someone else. But if I'm not way ahead of Rim in the scoring, he might not want to go after me, but he needs his guys back, and it's just an equalizing factor there, which is kind of good. Prevents people from just going after the guy in first place a whole bunch.
Even though you tried to do that anyway, and it had no effect.
I was in first place, you all went after me, and I lost. It worked great.
No, we didn't use the towers to go after you.
No, you didn't.
We used the often held strategy of make a king.
Yep. The king of Carcassonne in the castle.
Yes.
With 2 cathedrals, I think?
No, only one. I had a cathedral just for me, and then Pete and I shared a cathedral.
Oh, I thought there were 2 cathedrals in that one city.
No, I don't think there were. I don't remember.
All right.
Anyway, real quick, king making, it doesn't work in many games, but it works.
It's a strategy that you usually see in board games with visible scoring tracks and continual scoring, where instead of just scoring at the end, you score throughout the game, and you have the ability to help other players and hurt other players.
Yep,
And everyone knows what everyone's score is.
You pick one other dude, or maybe two other dudes in the game, and you decide they are not going to win. I know they're not going to win. They're not smart enough to win. So what I'm going to do is team up with them, and I'll do things that benefit me and them, and they'll do things that benefit them and me. And we'll push ourselves up at the expense of everyone else in the game.
The people who have a chance of competing with you.
So now it's really just a game between me and the people I made kings with. So we're the kings, and everyone else, it doesn't matter. And then I screw them at the critical moment.
Yep.
Or I just know that they won't be able to capitalize on that.
So let's give an example. It's a game between me, Rim, Joe, and John. We know that Joe and John are probably going to kick my ass. Rim, he sucks. He can't win.
Yeah.
So what I do is I get a whole bunch of victory points by teaming up with Rim, because Joe and John are the only people who can possibly beat me at this game.
Yeah, like anytime one of us has a big city, he'll jump onto it or help it finish, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So me and Rim now have like 100 points each, and Joe and John basically can't win this game because they're so far behind. We teamed up and, gave each other points, and it was great. Now I fuck Rim in the ass and I win.
Yep, and you ignore
because
everyone
Joe
else.
and John can't possibly win. They're way down there. So all they have to do is fuck Rim.
This doesn't work too well in a lot of games, because if you're playing with people who are all good, it still works, but it doesn't work in the same way. Because then
if Rim was good, I'd be like, all right, Joe and John are better than Rim, but Rim's still good. I'll team up with Rim, and he fucked me first, damn it.
And if it's four people who are all equal in skill, it's still a valid strategy, but at this point, all you're doing is increasing the odds of victory, because now you have a 50% chance of winning instead of a 25% chance, because two people are now eliminated from the game.
Yep.
The only game I've ever seen it extremely effective in is El Grande, where it was pretty much the way to win.
Yeah. Sure. El Grande was the game of making the king. I mean, the game had a giant king in it.
It did. But
you couldn't touch the king.
No, you couldn't.
Do not touch the giant golden penis. That is the rule of El Grande.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're not joking either.
Yeah, we'll do a show about that game. We got to play it again. It's been a while.
In case people out there, I don't know if you know, but if you go to BoardGameGeek.com, you can look up all the board games that we talk about.
Yeah, I always link to them whenever we talk about them.
Yeah, and there are pictures and all kinds of stuff. So if you're not sure if you're looking at the right game, go to FrontRowCrew.com, our website, and click on the links to the games, and you'll see all kinds of cool stuff.
And all in all, I highly recommend Carcassonne. It's a great game.
Yeah, if you don't have Carcassonne, if you're new to German gaming and you're just finding out about it because we talk about it, you want to get Settlers of Catan and Carcassonne. Those are the first two games you have to get. We just never talked about Carcassonne before.
Yep.
Carcassonne does have some other expansions. One of them that I know a lot about is The Princess and the Dragon. I think The Princess and the Dragon, I haven't read all the rules, but from what I understand, the dragon goes around eating farmers and the princess stops the dragon. I don't know. I don't know how good it is because I've never played with it, so I don't know enough about it. However, it comes with a wooden dragon, which is more than enough.
Great. Why don't we just find out what the rules are, and we'll use that ship from Entdecker and...
Because it doesn't look like a dragon.
Whatever, it's a pirate ship.
Shut up. I think it also comes with some good tiles.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Like maybe a dragon nest? Ooh,
Piraten Nest.
Piraten nest?
And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.